nice, pristine building off in the distance. So we know it's sometime before 5:20 p.m. that day. Now, we're going to figure out which way to model it. We're going to choose between these two. Does it look like we just have a stack of pancakes pushing down? Or do we see something else happening? I think this is a pretty good way of looking at it, that it turns to dust on the way down. So there's no more mass to push it down. So if we look at conservation of energy and conservation of mass, well, the mass goes out to the sides, it goes up in the air, and it goes out of the system we're talking about. So do we have this pile driver? A lot of folks say that there's a pile driver there that mashes the building down like a big giant trash compactor. Does that make sense if it's turning to dust? So here's where supposedly the damage is, and it's interesting that it's exactly along the same floor all the way around. I thought that was pretty fascinating. As it starts to come down, notice how this floor doesn't really move much, but the top compresses down. Obviously, it does not stay as a solid unit, acting as a giant trash compactor or as a pile driver. This is disintegrating before the remainder starts disintegrating. So I think this is a pretty good setup, that it just turns to dust on the way down. And well, let's check again to make sure that we have the right idea. Notice here there's no building above and no debris falling below. So the building just turns to dust at the rate at which the front of that wave travels down the building, which appears to be slightly faster or at about the same speed as the free fall of gravity. Otherwise, you can see the debris kicked out over here, you can see it falling down, but you don't. Some instances you do. This, I believe, is Tower 1, this is Tower 2. So let's see how long it would take just one item to fall off the roof. I'm going to use billiard balls because they're all standard issue. They're just different colors, so we can keep track of which is which. So we drop a blue billiard ball off the roof of Tower 1. If it's in a vacuum, you assume no air resistance. We're going to give the official story the most benefit we can. As it starts to fall, it picks up speed, and eventually it hits the pavement below 9.22 seconds later. Already, you kind of wonder how NIST could say that one of the towers came down in 9 seconds. That's faster than it would take the billiard ball to fall in a vacuum, that same distance. But this is if just the blue ball drops all by itself. What about the other floors? Well, if the blue ball has to fall down a certain distance to trigger the next floor to fall, let's take into account the damage. So we're going to say we have 9 floors of damage here. And just to do an overkill, 9 out of every 10 floors, we're going to just gut out and have this thing like Swiss cheese all the way down to the ground. So we basically have 11 floors with 9 hollow floors in between. So this blue ball would fall down like it did in the previous slide. But as it passes the 100th floor, just the fact that it's past that floor, we're going to say it starts the next floor moving. It's going to start the 100th floor moving, which is the red ball. The red ball starts traveling down, but when it passes the 90th floor, the yellow ball gets to start moving. And the yellow ball, when it gets to the 80th floor, triggers the next one, and so forth. That would take 31 seconds. That's a lot longer than 9 or 11 seconds. But we didn't have that much damage. Well, if we look at floor by floor by floor, again, assuming no resistance in the building whatsoever, we're just looking at the timing. So if the 110th floor triggers the 109th floor, which has to trigger the 108th floor, and so forth, that's 97 seconds before everything comes down. That's like 10 times the length of time that NIST says it took. We're not even close. So let's look at this again. We're sure that it didn't end up as a stack of pancakes at the end of the day. It blew up along the way, looking like this, all in 10 seconds, plus or minus. And look at this nice neat little pile at the end. I call these the wheat checks. They're sticking back up. The remnants of the outer columns, which are only a few stories tall. But we have this little pile of rubble. Where did all the material go? So they're telling us basically 10 seconds it took for both towers to come down. Or no, for the towers to be destroyed. How is that possible? If we were going to talk about gravity, if it was a gravity collapse, the 100th floor would need to get a 2.4-second head start before the blue ball got there. So before the blue ball can come down and trigger the red ball to start moving, the red ball has to begin moving. And before the red ball gets to the 90th floor to trigger the yellow ball has to get a head start. So if they all get a head start, we can get the whole thing in the ground under 10 seconds. But how could the floors below start moving before the above floors fell apart or triggered them to start moving? Maybe they had some help.
Yeah.
Oh, I see some help. The center of your space. Now here's a video that's going to play. We're going to watch very carefully for these little puffs shooting out.
Back in New York at 1029, the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. These two towers were once among the... Back in New York at 1029, the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. These two towers were once among the... Back in New York at 1029, the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. These two towers were once among the...
It's very rhythmic. And isn't it an interesting coincidence that they're so evenly spaced? Well, looking at this again, does this look like a building just mildly collapsing? It just gets too hot and the steel starts sagging. It's not going to shatter. Steel doesn't shatter when it gets hot. It wilts. It doesn't look like a building wilting. It looks more like a volcano. That's a pretty good one. I had this as a desktop pattern at the beginning of last semester, and a student came up to me after class and looked at it and said, "Ooh, morbid." I was surprised and morbid. I think it's fascinating. See, I was always taught that gravity acted down, but look here, it acts up. And the student became fascinated with that and became interested in studying events at 9/11. Now this is one of my most fun videos. I like this in particular because of that radio tower at the top. If you notice when it starts down, it leans to the right, leans to the left, leans back to the right. I can't think of a physical phenomenon natural phenomenon that would cause that. See? Watch it lean to the right and tips back to the left. If it's leaning to the right, there is no more force on the left-hand side. So why is it failing over the left-hand side to cause it to tip back? There's another interesting thing. I played this with the soundtrack of one of the purposes of 9/11 that I think is